Hello there, kia ora, and welcome to part 2 of Paul on Tour, where I'm doing, well, pretty much what it says on the box. I'm going on tour and visiting a few places around the country with a bit of a different view, more like a tourist on a holiday, because I haven't done that in a really long time, and we all know we live in a beautiful country, but we don't often get to see it. And because I am who I am, a lot of what I do and talk to and how I deal with people revolves around politics. It just seems to happen these days. So this is a bit of a recap of my trip. Today, I'm in the one place that still sends me occasional death threats. It's Tauranga. But I'm actually here because it's my best friend's birthday, and he and his husband both live here in Tauranga in a place called Judea. Tauranga and the Mount were always on the list to spend more time on in this trip. When I was last here, though, I caused a few people to be upset, who really deserve to be more upset than they actually were and probably seek mental health help at the same time. It's one of the few places in the country where I don't feel safe, and it's not because of gang patches. Not once have I ever seen a gang patch in this place. Not saying that they're not here, I've just never seen one, so it clearly doesn't feed into how safe I feel here. It is a bit of a reality check, though, that's going to be needed for a few people out there, that politics, especially local politics and Facebook groups, aren't the centre of the universe for most people. In Tauranga, though, there is an older demographic from all across the city who rely heavily on Facebook as a communication tool, and they tend not to have the critical thinking skills that people who have been brought up around it or digital natives have when it comes to the information that they see online. Which means that you've got a group of angry older locals who love to spread disinformation. Not everybody, of course. There's never going to be a uniform group of disinformation spreaders in one location base, but there is certainly a vocal group of it here in Tauranga. Now, the sort of people as well who would basically see this explanation and try and spin it as me being horrible and mean and calling them dumb so they can rage farm it on Facebook. This place is the home of Don Brash and Margaret Murray Benge, after all. And I'm here just days after the Tauranga City Council has voted to include mana whenua in their committee processes, who are experts on the committee topics and bring in a dedicated mana whenua perspective to the decision-making process. Because while Māori voices are a great tool to ensure Māori voices are heard on local decision-making tables when you've got specific wards there, there's no guarantee that those voices are going to be from mana whenua. Now, here in Judea, we can see the harbour, and as the sun sets tonight, the mount is surrounded by a beautiful pink haze. The conversation shifts to the local election. Both my friend and his husband voted, and both say that they had to, because democracy had been absent for so long. But they couldn't be sure who it was exactly that they voted for. They totally agreed with former Commissioner Ann Tolley on not re-electing the same people who were so dysfunctional that they needed to be stood down. And they based their votes on two specific sources. One was an overview interview series done by Fina Owen from Q&A, and their local ward in Merrill, it's in the ballot episodes, which they watched after the live stream. They should have watched it live. I told them I was here for that. They knew I was... Anyway, they watched it. That's the important thing. There was one candidate who was running in their ward that they really didn't like. Everybody else seemed relatively fine to them. But they found that this one candidate was creepy, disingenuous to them. That candidate was Susie Edmonds, a local conspiracy pusher who loves passive-aggressive memes aimed at her strange children who refuse to have anything to do with her, and singing the praises of Winston Peters, Tanya Unkovich, Reality Check Radio, The Platform, Voices for Freedom, InfoWars, and once tried to kidnap her own grandchild and threatened to burn herself alive in the driveway of someone her husband was allegedly having an affair with. Probably a good thing that their instincts kicked in and they didn't vote for her. Her rabid followers, though, have sent me death threats and abuse, but aren't smart enough to ask themselves why her qualification of being anti-vaccine is enough to garner their trust, but her own family find her a malignant tumour. That's why I will not announce being here in Tauranga until well after I've left. But the time here started off with a common conundrum. The CBD is dying. Now, it's not a great thing for any commercial area, and cries of CBD death throes are happening from Kaitaia to Invercargill, but unlike Wellington, there's no woke bike lanes to blame, and unlike Hamilton, there's no big shopping centre at fault. There's no walkable upgrades that are causing problems like Tamaki. Well, there are, but a bit like the people of Tauranga, they seem to have settled on their idea that the problem is there is no car parks. Just like everywhere else in the country, that's always the argument about CBDs dying, there are no car parks. I mean, we parked for free in the Elizabeth Street building for a couple of hours amidst there being no crowds and grabbed breakfast across the road, so really easy to navigate. We visited the farmer markets on 5th Ave? I don't know, there's a 5 in there. The streets were empty, the parks were empty. It's clearly not parking that's the problem. But that attitude of so many people that they should get exactly what they want where no one else's views matter is really prevalent in every conversation around how to revitalise CBDs. And the other way that we know that it's not about car parks is if we look at the neighbours over at the Mount. Now, there's almost no car parks there because it's actually really busy. The streets are packed with beachgoers, cruise ships. Cruise ship had actually just come in the day that we were there. There's a market day with people meandering around a little park and so much more going on. And people keep coming, and car parks turned over relatively fast. So we know that the traffic was there for a reason. The real issue isn't car parks or access to them. Not here in Tauranga, not anywhere else that complains about CBD death occurrences. But it's easy to vilify something that means that we have to walk slightly further. The two tricks to revive any CBD is to firstly build a place people want to visit. That's different for each town, and it's not always something permanent like a beach or the Mount. But temporary events and building better appealing options will drive foot traffic back. The same stores you find everywhere else, no matter how much parking there is, that's never going to be the answer. The second is letting people live there. Apartment buildings and complexes in CBD areas help grow the local economy. Like any community where it grows, so too does the local economy, and apartments let a lot of people live in a relatively small footprint of an area. Tauranga is in the process of doing this. They've just had the single largest apartment build outside of Tamaki happening in their CBD at the moment. It's called Elizabeth Towers. It's a luxury set of apartments that started selling in January of 2024. It should start filling out fairly soon, although there have been local rumours as to why they're not filling out as fast or letting people in yet. And that's a bit of a concern, because when rumours start like that, people start to question the validity of what's actually happening, how this is going to work. It causes problems. But when you have more people in a specific area, they go out and they spend more money locally. It's as simple as that. The problem with Tauranga and the problem with the Mount is, well, everybody thinks that there's a problem with it. And there isn't, really. It's the same as just about every other town and city in the country. They have their own local issues. They have some very loud people who complain about things that they don't like. They have the tools to be able to fix them, but spending money is the kind of thing that freaks out a lot of people. I mean, to be fair, there are some locals here who are louder and more discontent than others, the ghost of Don Brash being top of the list, but that doesn't change the fact that it is a beautiful part of the country with some really smart, intelligent, funny, fantastic locals, and a couple of really awful ones that ruin it for everybody else. There is a great line, though, in the works of Sir Terry Pratchett about a town that he's created, the city of Ankh Morepork, which is, for him, the largest city in the Discworld universe that he's created, where he describes the twin city as proud Ankh and Pestilent Morepork. And I start to wonder sometimes whether or not people in this area feel the same about this twin towning of Tauranga and the Mount. But I'm not sure which one's the proud one and which one's the pestilent one. Probably the one with Hobson's Pledge is going to be the pestilent one. Yeah. Anyway, we're off to a little place called Tauranga next, where hopefully we make it through without hurting anybody going through the Ironman World Championships at the moment in Taupo. We might even do a slight detour to Rotorua. I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Until then, fantastic day to you all. Enjoy the rest of these episodes, and I will catch you all later.